Hi guys, welcome back to We Should Talk, a pop culture interview series from In the Know. I'm your host, Gibson Johns, and today on the podcast we have Monica Vaswani from Family Karma on Bravo. Monica is currently really in the thick of it on this current third season of Family Karma. Her boyfriend Rish's brother's girlfriend told Amrit that she thinks that Rish might be cheating on her, that he met up with some woman, on some night out. And there's been a lot of fallout from that. They're still together on the show, and it's to come on how this all plays out. Monica promised in this interview that we will see how that's playing out. But, judging from her Instagram, judging from how she talks about it in interview settings like this, I think that she's single right now, or at least they're not together. But she's not confirmed that either way. So we'll see how this plays out. But we talked a lot about the situation. She seems like she's in a really good place with it, really reflective, really kind of learning a lot from watching this back on TV. And she said that she's, a lot of her male castmates have been hearing it from her as the show has aired because she's seeing how they're talking about it. And she's not happy about that. So I loved kind of breaking down this whole thing with her. Again, she has some really great perspective on it. And she's such a mature person, so she's not gonna just pop off for no reason. She's gonna really think about things before she says them and does them. So yeah, again, great conversation with Monica. We also talked about some of the weddings. We talked about the situation with Anisha, but we focused mainly on her relationship with Rish and this fallout from the whole situation. So keep listening to my interview with Monica Vaswani from Family Karma. Tune into the show Sundays at 9 p.m. on Bravo. And please rate, review, and subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so we're here with Monica Vaswani from Family Karma on Bravo. Monica, we have a lot to talk about. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to see you again after BravoCon.
I know. How doesn't it feel like it was I interviewed Bali yesterday. We were talking about how it feels like it was so long ago at this point.
I feel like it was just yesterday. I feel like it was literally just yesterday. And I'm like, how did all this time go by so quickly?
Still on the high though from it, for sure.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I still have a lot of content that I need to post.
Good. So how are you doing? Right now you are really in the thick of the situation on Family Karma right now. So how are you holding up watching all this back?
I'm definitely in the eye of the storm right now. It's been difficult, I have to admit. Difficult, yet healing, yet validating. So I think that, through this whole process, I remember moments while we were going through the filming process where I just felt like I didn't know what was going on. I felt like I was kind of being told certain things, but I wasn't in the room when certain, conversations were happening. So I really didn't know what to believe. I didn't want to overreact. I didn't want to underreact. So sometimes when that happens, you kind of freeze and you kind of, become like a deer in headlights and you don't know which way to turn. So I think that, through this whole process, watching it back, it kind of is clicking for me a little bit better. So I'm definitely having some of those aha moments of like, oh, that's what happened. Okay. And I'm watching it back and, I'm definitely reading Twitter. I'm definitely I am, I'm curious to see what people are thinking and what people are saying. And, I feel like I usually don't do that, but this time I am because I'm trying to also put the pieces together and see a little bit more clearly.
Right. And are you finding, I would assume so, that most people are sort of on your side and supporting you in all of this?
I've been getting a lot of love and support, and I am so thankful because I really do say that everybody on my Instagram, I treat them like family. I treat them like, when I go on Instagram lives, I feel like I'm on FaceTime with all of my friends. And the only thing that's missing is that I wish that I could see everyone else and that we could have an open conversation. But they really are my tribe. They're my family. And I'm just very grateful for everyone's love and support because it hasn't been easy.
I'm sure. And I'm curious because, again, this is your third season on the show and you know how this works. There have been a million reality shows before this, but I'm wondering if you were on guard at all, or I don't know. I feel like when you're in a position like this, you're in a great relationship, or so it seemed, and people always try to tear something good down. I think when it comes to reality TV, there's always a new target somewhere, and I'm curious for you if obviously it was unexpected, but were you at all prepared for okay, when's my time coming, for when somebody's maybe gonna do you know what I'm trying to say? Like I think
Yeah.
that sometimes happens in your
No,
position.
I definitely foreshadowed a lot of what's happening months prior because I kind of saw some weird, I kind of, not from Rish, but from the person that started the rumor.
Mm-hmm.
I started to realize, wait a minute, like, I feel like this person's almost trying to like use the show and for clout. And so I definitely felt a little, on edge about that. And I didn't have a good feeling about it. Um, but at the same point in time, like it all comes back to how strong you are with your person and, in your relationship. And I truly believe that this whole situation can either make you stronger or it can completely tear you apart, but it can also teach you a lesson. So I think that through this process, I was like, man, is this the Bravo curse that everyone talks about? Like,
Right.
and one thing for me is I'm very scarred by those things because I went through a very traumatic experience with my parents getting divorced.
Right.
I think for me, I'm the girl that's like, no, like these, like, breaking up and, divorce and all of these things aren't an option. You do everything to try. And I think that there's a little bit of like trauma there for me
Sure.
where so desperately value family over everything that sometimes it can get tough. It can get tough and you just don't know how to really deal with something. But for me, it's always been that outside of the show that my relationships are number one, so
Yeah.
difficult.
So I mean, I guess it's still playing out in the show, but can I confirm if you're single right now, or if what your relationship status is right now?
Promise by the end of the season you'll see everything play
Okay.
out. You'll
Okay.
definitely see a lot more evolve with the story. It's not done just yet. So
Right.
you'll definitely see things kind of evolve, but I
Okay.
can see that I'm in a much stronger place than I was versus before. I think that that was probably the lowest low that I've ever experienced. And that too on camera. It wasn't easy. It
I'm
was very
sure.
difficult. And I think watching it back now and just where I am is I'm really, trying to find my own power, and I'm really trying to find my own strength. And I think that, when you're in a bad place, it's really hard to get out of that. And it's really hard to mentally find yourself to, pull yourself out. It can really eat you up, anxiety and just feeling sad. And, it's terrible no matter how much, you have that support around you. But I definitely feel like I'm a much stronger person today.
Mm. And yeah, and I can sense that, and I also feel like that must add to sort of some of the difficulty of watching it back, is because I feel like you weren't fully yourself in some of these moments. It seemed like you were sort of
Absolutely.
shrinking yourself a little bit, and it wasn't the Monica that we all knew, every episode.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you one thing, for me, it's again, we're raised. I think one key point that I also want to mention is people sometimes forget that they're watching a show of a different culture.
Yeah.
So there are different dynamics that play out where I'm not going to be the girl that's going to be like cussing up a storm. And like, my mom and dad would have me by the ear and drag me out of there, make me apologize to everybody. But, there are certain cultural dynamics to this that I feel like people forget, which is, we have a lot of respect for our elders. That's one huge thing. We have a lot of respect for our elders to where sometimes I will choose to keep my mouth, because I have enough respect for, anybody's parents in the room or,
Hmm.
and I feel like at times you may think something, but, you put the respect factor is a big one, but also to how we handle confrontation. As
Right.
Indians, we do not handle confrontation well. We would prefer to pretend like it's not even happening
Mm.
and just put a smile on and pretend like it's all good. I don't know what you're talking about. And then when you get back home, you're like, what the you know? So again, you struggle with that
Yeah.
because I'm the type of person now today at 31. I'm not the girl that so much I used to, do that. And I realized that's unhealthy. But at the same point in time, I'm not the girl that's going to go head on into confrontation either and not take into consideration everyone else's feelings.
Totally.
So it's
It's a
it's
weird balance for you, right?
a weird balance because you don't want to. I don't want to piss anybody off. You
No, but it sounds like it's like sort of the cultural norm and expectation is sort of clashing with the reality TV expectation and maybe like a modernization of that expectation. So it's an interesting balance for you right now.
Yeah. And sometimes people will say, well, you care too much what people think. And I'm like, no, I do. Like this is I no, but I do. Like
But
it
not
would
too much. I think it's you have like you empathize with people and you feel
exactly.
things really deeply, you know?
Exactly. And for me, it's important to take into consideration everyone's feelings and how, I'm not going to put myself at the center in the forefront. I think that I do have enough humility to say, where I think I'm wrong. But again, these conversations are so difficult to have with like 20 other people in the room. It's
Mm-hmm.
difficult to get very raw and very real, but I have to say that to some extent, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah. And honestly, I thought that in this most recent episode, when you're at dinner at his parents' house, like I thought that you stood up for yourself great in that moment and after that moment. Like I thought that was a really strong moment for you. And another moment that I really liked was when your dad and Rish had that conversation in the car. And like I'm wondering what your reaction was to watching that because you were not there for that conversation in person. So what was it like to see that? Because I loved how much your dad just like immediately kind of just like sprang into action and was like, no, this is my daughter. Like I'm not messing around here.
Yeah, if I'm being very honest, I was like, oh no, like crap. Like, like the last thing that you want when you are dating somebody is for your parents to see them in any other light but
Mm,
amazing, like that hero and like that amazing, like you do so much when you're dating to, build those bonds that something like this, you never want it coming in the way or shifting your parents' perspective of who you're with and having them have any sort of doubt. So
right.
that's difficult as well. And it was one of those moments where it didn't feel nice at
Mm,
all. It didn't feel nice. I actually felt really sad because, outside of that, this is somebody that is very much a part of our family that's always at the table, that's always in our house. And like my dad treats like a son. So it's hard to see those moments because it's uncomfortable.
right. Totally. And I feel like the one thing as a viewer, and maybe this will be addressed later in the season, but I feel like the one thing that still is sort of unanswered is the timeline of him finding out from Brian. He says he found out the day he told you. Brian says he had told him a week earlier. Is that
Yeah.
something that we're just sort of looking past, or are we going to dive more into that discrepancy? Because that's a pretty
No,
big one.
that's what it is that it was something that was said before. And I'm kind of like, those are conversations that of course we had where it's like you don't put your loyalty in your boy, you put it
Yeah.
in girl. But at the same point in time, these are just lessons, at this
Yep.
point. It's a confusing process, and I can have empathy towards that. But at the same point in time, we've all made mistakes along
Yep.
this road where we're kind of like, okay, that was clearly not the right way to handle it, or this was clearly like, it grew. And I think that, one conversation that I've had with Rish is just like, this could have been dealt with very quickly by just having the open, honest conversation and bada bing, bada boom, and like we handle it, but it kept growing and growing and growing. And that's what happens when you don't deal with something directly head on immediately, is it can just turn
Mm-hmm.
into a monster.
Yeah.
And
It becomes this unnecessary big thing that it didn't need to be. And I feel like it's also showing, again, this is sort of just as a viewer, but like it's showing sides to him and how he reacts to certain things that maybe you hadn't seen before. And it's kind of enlightening, I think, even if nothing ended up happening in that initial rumor or claim, I think we're seeing different things that I don't know, it's interesting.
all I expect, is that when I am in a relationship, is that partnership, that teamwork. It's like us against everyone else. Not that anybody needs to be the villain, but like
Right.
we're on the same page and this is
Mm-hmm.
the objective. And, we protect us over anybody else's relationship or feelings or whatever it might be. But it's that it's that component that really keeps a couple together.
Yeah, totally. And the last thing about this, but I feel like the other element of it is like you were hurt by Brian going to him first before he went to you. And I feel like, you guys have this, somewhat of a history. You go way back, even just as friends, and like,
Yeah.
that when we found out as viewers that he had gone to him first, I was like, and he had done it off camera too, and it was just like an interesting, I understood the questioning of that. So can you explain just like sort of how you got past that moment as well with Brian? Because I think that your relationship is really special to both of you, and I'm sure you have gotten past it, but can you just speak to that a little bit?
No, to be very honest, I don't think I really even got very upset with him back
Mm,
then, because I was like, well, I wasn't in the room. I don't understand what happened. I need to watch this back. Like, I think that I do this thing sometimes in my friendships where I give people the benefit of the doubt a lot before, you lie, like until I catch you in something,
yeah,
until it grows to where I can't, make an excuse for you. And that's kind of what happened, is I was giving him the benefit of the doubt while we were filming, because I didn't want to overreact, because I wasn't in the room. I didn't understand what was happening. I was like, and I kind of warned everybody. I told Amrith and Nicholas, like, you might in a few months have me calling you really pissed off, because that's going to be the first time where I'm really piecing together what's happened, and I'm going
right.
to see your tone, and your, like, I think for me, tone, is really important. What was your intent? Was it concern? Was it malicious? Was it gossip? Like, I need to see that for myself before I decide to like lash out on one of my friends, because
It's
I
telling.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, I have to be very sure before I pop off on somebody, So I think that, Brian in the last few weeks has had me call him and be like, I never want to speak to you again. And like, how dare you? And like,
Okay, so
like,
we're getting it out now though. You're really kind of
oh
feeling it
yeah,
now.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's seen the wrath of Monica Vaswani. And now I'm like, who cares if I was gonna have a reaction? Am I not, entitled to have one? Like, how dare like, so these are the same conversation that all the
So
guys are
funny.
right now. Like, not just
All
him,
right,
but
so we're popping off. Like it's like now we
yeah.
need the reunion this year because honestly, I'd like to see that.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know, but those are the conversations that I'm having now, because I'm like, hold up, like, you did, like, you lied to me about this, and you lied to me about
Hmm.
that. And, it's been a tough one, because I really didn't have anybody loyal to me, you
Mm,
know, and now this year, I think when I really think about my non-negotiables in a friendship, I'm like, you got to be loyal. You got to tell the truth. You need to sit here. Like, that to me, that trust is
mm.
everything. And so if I'm going into 2023, my big thing is, just ensuring that I get that both ways out of a
So
dynamic.
it's so important, so important. And I feel like, I mean, I liked when Bali stood up for you at the bachelor party. I thought that was a good moment. She said some great words in our interview yesterday. Do you feel like she was there for you throughout this, or
Yeah, I think that, the girls have really, really been there for me. Anisha
great?
and Bali, it's definitely, it's very telling, right? And same thing for Bali with what she was going through this season. It was like, as women, we rallied together, when it comes
I love
to
it.
heartbreak, when it comes to your home, when it comes to any of these things, like, freezing your eggs, like, these are things that as women only we're going to get it, and only
Mm.
we're going to be able to validate another woman's feelings, and be able to say the right thing and kind of guide them through that. So I've been very thankful for that, because sometimes I need that guidance. I don't have an older sister, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's special.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So switching gears a little bit. So obviously, two big weddings this year. We started out the season with Vishal and Risha, and it was it was a lit wedding, honestly. Like it was a lot happened, and Bali still sort of has some reservations about their relationship that she expressed, and we're seeing they're going through this sort of like drinking ultimatum thing, and I understand both sides, but honestly. I guess one, where do you stand with their relationship and sort of what the future holds for them?
I treat it the same way I would want to be treated, which is, I'll tell you one thing. I feel like, with what's happened to me, the only thing that I value more than anything are the people around you that kind of help you through it, right? That tell you when you're wrong in a nice way, that, sit here and try to help you see clearly. The goal is not to see them be like, to see them throw in the towel. That's
Right.
not want as friends or as family. I think that the goal is to be glue, for another relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
what I'm going through today, like, it sucks, but all I want or what I would have wanted is for people to help, bring us back together. I think that, in 2022, people, will find any reason to just, toss in the towel. Oh, I don't want to be with you anymore. And it's so easy. We have social media now, we have apps, and it's like, it's always like the grass is greener on the other side, and you need to water your grass, and you need to,
Mm-hmm.
have people that are going to mentor you and be there for you and validate both sides of the coin and show you how to come back together. So when it comes to Vishal and Richa, that's all that I want, is
Mm.
I see that there's love there, and I will always be in their corner. And I always, have those non-alcoholic Heineken beers ready for him when
Love
he
it.
cannot drink, and I'm in your corner and I'll have one too. And it's no big deal.
So
Like,
cute. I love that.
that's all that I want, is just support and love. And that's all that you can do for your
Mm.
friends.
That's an amazing answer. I think that's the right, and that's the right way to be. We're running out of time, but I do want to, you and Anisha
Yeah.
have had an up and down relationship, at least on the that we've seen on the show. And it's sometimes you guys have great moments, and then sometimes it just feels like you're oil and water.
Yeah.
There's obviously there's some more of that oil and waterness to come in this season. And she's having an interesting year because she got engaged to a mystery man that we're not going to see on the show, and she's
Yeah.
going in and out of Miami. So I guess, where do you and Anisha stand? What do you think about sort of the kind of mysterious part of her love life that we're not going to be able to see on the show?
It's funny because I'll be honest, when I initially, started a, friendship with Anisha, I really liked her. I actually thought that we saw eye to eye on a
Yeah,
lot of different things. And I always enjoyed, like, I really was getting to know her. And then somewhere along the lines, it just went, and like, it like took like a really like
it
left.
really did.
And it was like, okay, like, I don't know what to, it was just bad,
Uncomfortable.
very uncomfortable, very like just not good. But then, at the same point in time, I think that we've both evolved as people, and we see different sides of each other now, and we know each other's boundaries and limits. And she knows that, like, yeah, maybe the dry humor is not for me. Like, it's not gonna hit. Like, I'm not gonna laugh, but like, at the same point in time, like, maybe I know, like, like, maybe, okay, there's certain things that I'm going to do towards her that are not going to sit the right way, or she's, so we've understood each other better. And I think that all in all, you're going to be very surprised to see our journey, and it's going to be something really nice.
Okay, good.
I can tell you that it's going to be really nice.
I mean, after our panel at BravoCon, Monica, like Anisha, and Bali did a very, we started on the red carpet together for 10 minutes, and it seemed great. So I hope that that's sort of where we're going with
Yeah,
you and
I
Anisha.
definitely think you're going to see a different dynamic. And like, look, that's what people want nowadays. As much as like the drama and all that hits, like, there's nothing like a sisterhood, and there's nothing like,
Yes.
girls coming together and having each other's back and providing that support and that encouragement and like fixing each other's crowns. So I think that is far more entertaining than us fighting.
And you've given us the fighting moment, so I think people are
Never
ready to
again,
see what
never
it's like
again.
when you're on a good page for a full season. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's encouraging. Well, Monica, this was so much fun. I'm so glad to get some time with you. I'm excited for the rest of this season. I'm glad that it seems like you were in a much better place than you were during all this stuff going on. So I'm happy for you, and thanks again.
So much. Thank you. I hope
Yeah,
I get to see you soon. Come to Miami.
I know I'm coming in January, so maybe I'll hit you
Are
up.
you actually? Okay,
Yeah.
text me.
Okay. Well. All right. Bye, Monica. Thanks so much.
Bye. See you later.
Thanks for tuning in to We Should Talk. I hope you enjoyed the interview. You can find out more about In the Know at intheknow.com. You can follow me, Gibson Johns, at Gibsonoma on Twitter and Instagram. And you can listen to all of our interviews, past and future, by searching We Should Talk wherever you get your podcasts. Hope to see you next time.